Wir sind bei Blizzard für Diablo 3 und natürlich ist das wichtigste Thema gerade, dass die erste Erweiterung angekündigt wurde, Reaper of Souls. This new expansion, I was pleasantly surprised, it's a new evil. How did you go about creating this character?
Well, the character of Malthael has existed in the Diablo universe for some time, but he was, a good guy for a long time. He was the Archangel of Wisdom, and I think when we went into this expansion, we were thinking a lot about who you could fight and how we could do something different that still felt like it fit within the Diablo universe. And we experimented with a lot of different ideas, but really, once we realized that we had the Angel of Death as a villain, it sort of just fell into place. I mean, it became an easy decision at that point.
Okay, so working with angels, that's a new thing. Angels as bad guys is the kind of exciting for you too.
Oh, absolutely. Angels in the Diablo universe have always been sort of a neutral force. A lot of people look up to them as a friendly force, but they always have had their own sort of agenda. They were never out to destroy all the humans like the demons were, but the fact that now we have an angel who believably wants to kill everyone just adds a whole new element to all of the interactions between humans and angels and demons. It mixes up all of the power dynamics that we're so used to.
Okay. With the new expansion, I guess a lot of players who have invested a lot of time in their characters are worried, is my gear going to be obsolete immediately?
No, not immediately. So when you first start in the game, it's really important to us that you get upgrades, and that's what Diablo is all about. Is that you get loot upgrades. So it's not that the gear is obsolete right off the bat, but we have expanded the power of the gear so that you can get new things. If you have the very best items in Diablo 3, we still want you to get new items on a pretty regular basis. That's part of it. In addition, we have a brand new system called enchanting. That's our new Crafter the Mystic enchants items. You can get more life out of your existing gear by enchanting it. You can reroll one of your worse or lesser stats and get a more powerful one, therefore getting more life out of it as well. So there's a lot of room to grow, and there's still lots of power out of the gear that people already have.
And how do you go about when the level cap goes up? The new abilities for the characters, are you going to be able to play your character completely different now? For instance, the sorcerer, are there new abilities that make it a different kind of character?
So different kind of character, no. Expanding the tool set, yes. So all of the existing character classes get new skills, new runes, new passives, new equipment, and the equipment is sort of where it's interesting. The legendary items are getting a complete overhaul. So their power was increased in one of the patches we did quite dramatically, but all of the old items, when new versions of them roll, as well as all of the many new legendaries we have, are all getting completely unique effects. So the idea is any legendary you get does something that no other item in the game does. One of the goals of that system is to encourage build diversity. So it's not just that the item itself is cool, but it also makes you try something you might not have tried otherwise. So for example, we showed something called Jawbreaker today, which is a monk fist weapon. And it gives you Dashing Strike for free if you hit enemies 25 yards away, which is pretty far. So if you weren't already a monk using Dashing Strike, or if you had it but didn't use it at a far distance, we're actually going to encourage you to try playing a monk who's very distance-oriented, very speed-oriented, dashing around the battlefield. And that's a really cool way of encouraging build diversity in a way that's positive.
And the whole reworking of the loot system, that there are going to be more legendary items and that there's a chance that they're going to fit exactly what you're playing. How is that going to affect the auction house? Because until now it was the main source for fitting legendary items.
Right, so the auction house essentially is a trading system, and trading is not an invalid way to get items, but it's not the most fun way. So the balance was very much off, I think, at the beginning of Diablo 3 for sure, and probably still is. So we want you to find items. To kill a monster and to get an item is the best and most fun way to play the game, and maybe the second best is probably to take an item you found and improve it at a crafter or to craft your own. Third is trading. So we really want to make sure that finding items is now the most effective way to get more powerful, because it's more fun.
Is that something that came from fan critique? Many people were unhappy with the amount of good loot.
Yeah, we spend a lot of time listening to our fans. We reach out to them, we read the forums, we read other forums, we read Reddit posts. There's all sorts of fan sites that we review. We actually get weekly reports of almost everything that's said about Diablo on the internet. And we look for common themes. And we, of course, play the game a lot ourselves. And we have that same feeling at a certain point. You know, you say that, okay, trading an item is fun. It's not unfun to go onto the auction house and spend a bunch of gold and get something better than you probably would have gotten your own drop, but it's not the best fun, and that's what we're trying to double down on. Better fun.
Okay. And something else I thought might come from fan critique is the new design of Westmarch, which is very dark, and I think some people missed that in Diablo 3 compared to Diablo 2.
Well, yeah, I mean, as Kevin said, we're always listening to the fans and the community, and we're definitely tracking all the feedback, and you know that plays a part in our decision making. But I think we also felt it was a natural evolution to go into a darker, more gothic feel, especially considering the villain. I mean, Diablo games are obviously about the villain, hence the title, right? So that decision impacted everything else, that informs everything else. And so if you're gonna be fighting the Angel of Death and dealing with, you know, the end times, then you're going to want a dark, gothic, creepy feel to everything. And so it was like a natural extension of that.
And also pretty cool the fact that you can switch between the streets and subterranean levels just like that. Is that something new that you're playing with? We might see in further add-ons?
Absolutely. I mean, we would definitely love to have the experience be seamless as much as possible. And so as we you know continue to work on upgrading basically everything that we can, you know, we're always looking to keep it just one seamless experience.
I have a few questions about the Paragon system. And how's it going to affect characters that you already have? If you have Paragon level 40, is it immediately going to be account-wide?
That's right, yep. So all the time that you've spent gaining Paragon levels, we didn't want to take away from that at all, so it's immediately transferred into the new Paragon system. So if you had a level 40 Paragon, as your example, then all of your characters are now level 40 Paragon, including brand new characters you start. So you start a new Crusader, you can already customize stat points and spend Paragon points.
And what was the idea behind making the Paragon levels infinite, kind of? Doesn't that mean that you're going to have characters that are hugely stronger than any other they're going to play with?
Yeah, that's true. There will be, you know, if you put enough time in, you'll be dramatically, you know, more powerful than other characters. But that said, the way that the item system works, the way that we've revamped the end game to have a lot more endless replayability, even the Act 5 itself is more replayable. All the exterior zones are randomized now, which is something we hadn't done in D3. So with all that in mind, we wanted to make sure that whenever you were playing, you were still getting rewarded for it. You still got some sort of experience. In this case, that endgame Paragon system seemed to make sense. So we're being pretty generous with it, yes, with the power. But you know, Diablo's a game about kind of always winning. You're always killing monsters. It's more about how effective and how fast you can churn through them. The armies of hell are endless, and so is your power.
Can you tell me something more about when the release is going to be and whether it's going to be on the console too, and maybe at the same time?
We haven't quite shipped the console version of Diablo 3 yet, so we probably shouldn't rush right into Reaper of Souls yet. At this point, we're just developing it for the PC. We'll see if it makes sense to do for the console in the future, and we'll let you guys know. As far as release point goes, we'll have to give the usual Blizzard answer. When it's ready, we will ship it.
Okay, it's done when it's done.
Yep.
So, is there something that you want to point out which is your favorite new part in Reaper of Souls?
For me, it's the Crusader class. I love the idea of something that heavily armored, where the armor becomes part of the weapon. The way I describe it is it's a war machine made human. And that was sort of the fantasy. You know, if the Barbarian, for example, as Conan meets the Incredible Hulk, the Barbarian, maybe a little Tasmanian Devil in there with the Whirlwind build. How do you capture something that is part of Western mythology, like that knight in shining armor, or in this case, our knight in battle-scarred armor, and how do we give it that unique twist that fits in Sanctuary? What if he was literally a tank? I don't mean a tank in the RPG class sense. I mean, what if he was rolling over things with his massive armor? And we sort of were inspired from there and took the class in that direction. And also, like a tank, he's got sort of artillery strikes. He's got this mid-range melee thing, and that sets him apart from the barbarian and monk as well, is he has some ranged abilities and a lot of very powerful melee. So it's my favorite class right now.
Okay. Should we be looking out for more classes to be announced?
Nope, the Crusader is the class for the expansion, but there's a lot of features we haven't talked about so far with this announcement. We had to pick and choose. There's so many features in this expansion. You've just got a taste of what's coming in Reaper of Souls.
Okay. So your favorite part of the new expansion?
Well, I sort of touched on this before, but I think for me it's definitely the fact that we are changing up the villain and just Diablo is the Diablo universe is a place that can sometimes seem unchanging, right? Diablo will always be trying to subvert humanity, and the angels will always be sort of distant and imperious, and the fact that we are changing everything, and now the people of Sanctuary will no longer be able to trust in the angels as their protectors or their friends, and the fact that no one knows what the demons think of all this it's kind of breaking everything wide open, and so it's really a chance to I think create a lot of interesting new opportunities in the future.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.